everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Madison Darby. I run a Harry Potter book club called Muggles and Mocha. It's connected to my editing website, MadisonKdarby.com. But today we're going to be talking about some literary topics, a little bit of Harry Potter, but also a lot of other fandoms. Today we will be answering an interesting question. What makes a favorite character? Why do people choose them? What are we looking for in a favorite character? And what are the different types of favorite characters that we commonly see in some of our favorite TV shows, books, movies? So we're going to be breaking all of that down here today. Please like this video if you enjoy it so that I can know that this is some content that you guys are interested in. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel to keep up with any videos that we have coming out. So in every single fandom, the favorite character conversation always comes up at some point. For some people, this is super easy. For others, it is a source of stress. And almost every single time, it does inevitably start a fight in the fandom community. This video idea actually came from a Harry Potter character ranking list I made. I wrote an article about that you can find here. Guys, it was difficult. It took a couple of days. I was going back and forth between two characters at the end. I must also mention I'm very dramatic when it comes to the books I love and TV shows and characters, and so of course I had to put the same amount of dramatic energy into that. But as I was doing that, it just made me think, like, what really makes a favorite character to us? What are qualities that we look for? And what are the different tropes that we commonly see in these conversations? To start, we need to lay the groundwork for what it means to be a favorite character. There's a couple of ways that we approach this question. Some people may simply look at the character's personality. This is probably the most common way to pick a favorite character. It's someone that you admire them, you like the way they interact with others. They're someone that you would like to hang out with, and that's one of the ways that we answer this question. Another option is we like their story. We like their background, the different events that have shaped them into the character that we see, and the different experiences that they've gone to that contribute to the character that we love. And last, we might choose favorite characters depending on which one is the most interesting to us, which one is the one we enjoy watching the most. We like following their story. We are itching to see what they're going to do next. I actually fall into the last category. I'm going to be getting into that a little bit more later. But the way that I pick my favorite characters is the character that I find most interesting. So all of my favorite characters do have very different personalities at times, but at the end of my Harry Potter character ranking, if you've read that article, you already know this, but my favorite character was actually Harry Potter. And look, I feel like it's lame because he's the main character. Surely my favorite character should have been somebody like Hagrid or Dumbledore, which are great choices also, but like someone that might be more, I don't know, not someone who has the books named after him maybe. Why did I feel like that? Why did I feel like that was lame? After all, Harry Potter is a very admirable character, obviously. He's the guy we're following through the books. So what was it that made me feel bad about it? Why was I constantly, I came to the decision it was him, and then I was constantly putting other characters against him, like trying to change my own mind for some reason. And this is what made me realize that we fall into different stereotypes of the types of characters that we choose as our favorites. I'll talk a little bit later about why I like Harry and the type of character that he is, because what I realized through this process is that there are certain types of main characters that we as the audience tend to fall into. The types of characters you like might not fall into these categories. That's perfectly okay. We all have different things that we enjoy, so if you don't see the type of character that you usually gravitate toward, that's totally fine. Actually, leave a comment and let me know, because this is a topic I'm really interested in, and I would love to add more to the list. As we go through these different types of characters, I'm going to be bringing up some examples of characters that might fit into that stereotype. Some of them might be from books or TV shows that you know. Some of them might not, and that's totally okay. You don't have to know the characters in order for the principle to really come across. It's just some examples to further illustrate what I'm talking about with these different character types. So let's get into these stereotypes. First, we have the wise instructor or guide. In the Harry Potter series, this would be Dumbledore, definitely. And you know, this is the person who the main character relies on for their wisdom and knowledge. They're always offering just a word of advice and kind of helping guide our main character along their journey. Some examples of this would obviously be Dumbledore, Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, Obi-Wan Kenobi, especially in the later Star Wars movies. I mean in chronological order. I know that A New Hope, you know what I mean. And then we have Uncle Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I feel like this favorite character type is very common. Actually, I put out a poll on my social media asking who your favorite character from the Harry Potter series was, and the most common answer I got was Dumbledore, our wise figure. Second, we have the father figure. And you know, the instructor or guide could also fall into this category, but rather than simply wisdom and advice, I think of people who have like a lot of emotion attached with them. I'm thinking of people like Lupin, Sirius from the Harry Potter series. These people to Harry who, yeah, they give him advice and they're there, but they are more of a father figure than Dumbledore, let's just say that. And like I said, I think the instructor role could actually double here. I think that Obi-Wan Kenobi was to Anakin a father figure, while to Luke, he was the, you know, wise figure. Different characters can have different roles in these series. Then there's the supportive best friend. I put a little note for myself here. I think that this best friend type is usually the one that isn't the comic relief, especially in friends that come in groups of 3. I'm not sure why, but people usually gravitate toward the ones that have a serious side to them, and with that some more emotion. And since we're talking about Harry Potter a lot, I see people like Hermione more than I like Ron. Ron is not a very common favorite character, and I'm not sure why, but I see that actually a lot with the best friends that also are comic relief. Then we have the anti-hero. And let me just define this for you guys, what I mean here. The anti-hero is a character in a story, movie, or drama who lacks conventional heroic attributes. I think a lot of times we use anti-hero in a way that is the villain who like ends up being, I don't know, turning their life around in the end. It can kind of be that, but usually this is just like a hero who is driven with good goals, but uses maybe questionable means to attain it. You might think that's also a villain. I don't know. That's what I'm referring to when I say anti-hero. This one is also super common when it comes to people's favorite characters. And I think that's because we like seeing people with unique qualities that kind of go against the norm. There's also a thing against goody two-shoe characters. I know this because I'm a goody two-shoes, and you know, we make fun of them. We like to, you know, look down on good behavior, I guess. But I think that gravitating toward anti-heroes who might be a little more interesting in our minds reinforces that idea that we kind of hold them in higher regard over the goody two-shoes characters. For an example from Harry Potter for the anti-hero, I included Snape. Even though, I don't know, I had difficulty because I think that there's other characters from different series that better encapsulate the anti-hero idea. I feel like Snape was a villain for most of the book, and we just like had a little surprise at the end where it turned out he was good. In that way, I guess he is an anti-hero, but if you've been watching my channel a while, you know how I feel about Snape. But example of anti-hero. Then we have the villain. This one I don't think is very common. I don't think that very many people have the villain, like the literal villain, as their favorite characters, but it can happen. I think that people go for the anti-heroes rather than just the straight up villain. But if you're someone who the villains are usually your favorites, that's totally fine. In the Harry Potter series, that would be Voldemort. And people who have villains as their favorite characters, I think, are usually approaching this question from the standpoint of they're looking for an interesting character, interesting in their motivations, their backgrounds, and, you know, that might not always be the hero. You know, I'm thinking of people who, when they were watching the original Star Wars trilogy, were a fan of Darth Vader. I think there's a reason, besides the musicality, that Darth Vader's theme is one of our, you know, favorite songs in cinema history. I think that, yeah, it's obviously a catchy tune, but it represented this larger than life figure that was so mysterious, and I think that he was a lot of people's favorite characters. Then we have the quirky fringe character. And guys, it took me a long time to settle on what to call this category, but here's what I mean by it, because a lot of characters fall into it for sure. This is when we focus on the outside characters who aren't too far out there, but also aren't our mains. So with Harry Potter, I'm thinking of like Luna, Neville, Tonks. Like, they're great characters, nothing against it at all. And there may be other reasons that, you know, people enjoy those characters, especially, you know, with Neville's comeback that he has in these books. Like, of course, these choices come from who the characters are, but I think that something else that goes into this specific category is that it comes from our desire to have a unique favorite character. People get bored of everyone having the same favorite character. Like, so many people like Hermione, and I think that sometimes, even though that might be, she might be someone who is our favorite character, we want to find someone who is unique, who we might like just as much, just because it can get boring after a while hearing the same favorite characters over and over again. And I'm not saying this in a bad way at all. I think that actually this practice of looking at those characters helps us to branch out and really bring some characters to the forefront who, you know, might not be recognized all the time. I'm specifically thinking of Luna. I think that Luna sometimes can get lost in the shuffle while she's really just such a lovely person. Then we have the witty, snarky, but caring adult. This is someone who takes care of our main character, but isn't easy on them at all. They aren't a parental figure or a wise teacher exactly, but they're usually funny, sometimes a little harsh. I am thinking of Professor McGonagall from the Harry Potter series as someone who really fits into this category. But then there's some other shows that I like that I feel like shows and books always have a character like this. Like, I watch Attack on Titan. I think that Levi from that show fits this. In Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, you have Colonel Mustang, who kind of fits into this for me. I think that this is another popular choice because they actually serve a lot of roles in our main characters' lives. They're someone who looks out for them and who, you know, cares about them, but then they're also funny. And their interactions usually with our main characters are interesting to watch. Then there is the main character. This obviously would cover a wide variety of people because our main characters will be different. They can be heroes, they can be anti-heroes. But I found that this is another category that people like because it's the category that I fall into, which makes me feel really basic. But you know what? I'm defending it today. Here is why it's totally okay to like the main characters of shows. First, it's not common because it seems cliche. I don't really have to tell you that. It seems lame and boring. So it actually makes it a bit rare for people to like the main characters as their favorites. Like I said, I'm in this category. My favorite character from the Harry Potter series was Harry Potter. And when I really thought about this, I discovered that many of my favorite characters are the main characters. What I enjoy in a favorite character is someone who I can watch handle interesting, difficult situations, seeing them encounter struggles and watching them overcome them. And of course, our main characters will be doing that a lot. Seeing them in these positions helps us to see how they cope with things. We get to really dive into their psyches, learn about their emotions, the way they interact with people. And even though all of my favorite characters do that in different ways, I think just the fact that they become the most interesting person in the room and they're the ones I want to watch, and they're the ones I'm invested in. That's what I look for in a favorite character. I like to see their flaws come out and understand what situations bring those things to the surface. And this isn't to say that all of my favorite characters from every different fandom are the main characters, but today I have a selection of 4 that I wanted to talk about who are my favorite character in their show or book, who also are the main characters. So we'll talk about them and see what kind of connects them, see this theory in action, and why I like them so much. The fandoms I'm going to be discussing are Harry Potter, of course, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and Attack on Titan. And like I said, you might not be familiar with some of these shows and characters, but that's totally okay. It's not really the point. It's just to show my favorite characters in action and what makes me like them so much. So let's look at these characters' personalities and just how different they are, because they are very different from each other. We have Harry Potter from Harry Potter. He's caring, driven, brave, fights for what's right. We have Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender. He is all about the peace, which I can relate to. He's strong in his convictions. He's sweet, kind, constantly fighting for his goal, and he just shows a lot of growth throughout the show, honestly. I think that out of all these characters, Aang is the one that I just like watching his story more than anything else. Then you have Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. He is passionate, driven, snarky, but more than anything, when it comes to liking characters, it's who I want to watch, who I'm invested in, and that definitely hits the mark with Edward Elric. Then you have Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan. If any of you are watching that show, you may find this a little problematic because he's definitely an anti-hero, could border on villain depending on what happens in this show. Out of these 4 characters, he's definitely the most passionate and driven one out of the lot. He follows his convictions to their extremes, and he's just a big, like, nothing's gonna stop him kind of guy. So as you can see, these 4 characters are pretty different from each other, but they do have one similarity in their personalities. They are full of perseverance and driven by the convictions that they have. And above all things, I just enjoy seeing what these convictions drive them to do, the choices that they make, and seeing how they strengthen them over time. And once again, more than anything, I like to watch them. That's the central theme, I think, with having a main character as the favorite. Like, flaws and all, I want to see what these characters are going to do, and I'm invested in them. So those are the main categories I found for people's favorite characters. We have the wise instructor or guide, the father figure, the supportive best friend, the anti-hero, the villain, the quirky fringe character, and the main character. So 7 categories I found. Once again, some of these characters might fall into multiple categories, and your favorite character might not fall into any of them. That's totally fine. It's just a fun conversation and the deep thoughts I had when trying to make a trivial ranking list. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Let me know if there are any other types that you have noticed that maybe your favorite characters can fall into. I got a big question for you guys. After thinking of all of this, and you may not be able to do this, but who is your favorite character in media? It's a big ask. It's a big ask. Who would my favorite character be? You know, for me, this isn't even very hard, which is excellent. I think my favorite character in all of media, strong take, bold take, would be Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. So, good job, Ed. He's the whole package, you know? I think that he is such a fun character to follow. So, there you go. Next time you find yourself deciding on a favorite character in a show that you're watching, keep these stereotypes in mind. There may be a certain type that you gravitate toward more than others, and it might surprise you. Once again, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content like this. And until next time, have a wonderful day. I'll see you later. Bye.